रूबंदे की लकीरें और थोड़े तस्वीरें। Hello, hi guys. Today we will begin with our regulations. It will include all of the laws that surround our aviation sector. First chapter is definitions and abbreviations. That is not necessary for us to start in the beginning. We will learn the abbreviations as we go on each by each and each chapter. Second chapter is wait a second. Yes, international organizations and conventions. These are all of the conventions that regulate the aviation sector. So these were all the meetings that were held and the rules that were formed during that meeting. So the first convention was Paris Convention. It was the first truly international agreement on civil aviation. When it was held, we have to remember the date and the year also. 13th October 1919. At the peace conference held in Paris under the auspicious League of Nations. This is not necessary for you to understand or learn, just the date and what motive did it serve. The Paris Convention laid down preliminary technical standards for international civil aviation and established the ICAN. So, first it was ICAN, International Commission on Air Navigation, which was then on 1944, which was Chicago Convention. It was later named as ICAO. So first it was ICAN, which was made in Paris Convention 1919. Chicago Convention. Chicago Convention consisted of 96 articles, not for you to remember. It was signed on 7 December 1944. And India has ratified this convention. Ratified means it has agreed to the rules and everything included in that convention. So these are all the articles, most important ones. They go about for 42 articles that they have mentioned out of 96, which are important, but I will read them out for you, make you understand what it means, but nothing for you to remember. Sovereignty. The contracting states recognize that every state has complete and exclusive sovereignty over the airspace above its territory. So just say, for example, we are living in India. India has its own sovereignty. So it can form its own rules, it can form its own standards, but he has to let the ICAO know. So we will understand later what that means. Territory. For the purposes of this convention, the territory of a state shall be deemed to the land areas and territorial waters adjacent thereto under sovereignty, protection, or mandate of such state. So there's sort of this imagined boundary that which will form your own territory, right? You can form your own rules. That is your own land and waters. Article 3, Civil and State Aircraft. This convention shall be only applicable to civil aircrafts and shall not be applicable to state aircrafts. What are civil aircrafts and what are state aircrafts? Civil aircrafts are those who are, for example, commercial airlines, private charters, and stuff like that. State aircrafts mean military and all of those sorts. The parliamentary, I think parliamentary airline, the Air India 1 shall also come into state aircraft. Right. Aircraft used in military, customs and police service shall be deemed to be state aircrafts. So they have mentioned this. No state aircraft or contracting state shall fly over the territory of another state and land thereon without authorization by special agreement or otherwise and in accordance with the terms thereof. So, no state aircraft can fly over any other state's territory without their agreement. मतलब ऐसे you cannot fly without their own permission, otherwise they will shoot it down. So this is why they will think it is an attack on their territory, so they will shoot them down. The contracting states undertake when issuing regulations for the state aircraft that they will have due regard for the safety of navigation of civil aircrafts. So basically, each contracting states provide ATC information and stuff to all the aircrafts, which, for example, India is in Dubai. India's aircraft is in Dubai. For example, Indigo's aircraft is in Dubai. So Dubai will provide all the information to its truest form to the Indian Airlines. Article 4, Misuse of Civil Aviation. Each contracting state agrees not to use civil aviation for any purpose inconsistent with the aims of this convention. So, for example, you cannot carry the purposes of state aircraft on civil aircraft so that they, for example, this will be termed as cheating, sort of, right? Because state aircrafts are not allowed to float, but you will take the civil aircraft for the purpose of state aircraft, which is mentioned as not permissible. Flight over territory of contracting states. Article 5. Right of non-scheduled flight. Although the operations of scheduled aircraft are restricted under Article 5, aircraft engaged in non-scheduled flights enjoy the right of flying across the state and to make stops for non-traffic purposes. However, the state flown over has the right to require the non-scheduled aircraft to land and to follow prescribed rules or obtain special permissions for such flights. What do we mean by non-traffic purposes? For example, there's some technical difficulty in your aircraft. You have to read nothing. You are not onboarding any passenger, deboarding any passenger, and you're just, that is called what a non-traffic purpose is. So non-scheduled flights are those who we will look into it. Non-scheduled flights. Without a fixed or published schedule, that can be, for example, private travel or ambulance services. So without prior notice, if anybody is flying, not exactly prior notice, you have to file a flight plan, but not in way advance. Scheduled air services. No scheduled air service may be operated over or into the territory of a contracting state except when the special permission or other authorization of the state and in accordance with the terms of such permission or authorization. कैबोटाज कैबोटाज का मतलब होता है जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल देयर इज अ दुबई का एमिरेट्स का फ्लाइट दैट so cabotage is when, so basically other international carriers cannot do domestic flights in your own territory. So मतलब वो अपने ही इंडियन कैरियर्स का धंधा नहीं रोकना चाहेंगे. They can come from Dubai to India, India to Dubai, onboard passengers from Dubai to India, and onboard passengers from India to Dubai. That is permissible. But for example, Dubai Airlines is coming into India, coming in Delhi airport, then Delhi to they are flying to Goa for suppose, that is not allowed. Each contracting state shall have the right to refuse permission to the aircraft or contracting state to take on in its territory passengers, mail and cargo carried for the remuneration or hire and destined for another point within its territory. Each contracting state undertakes not to enter into any arrangements which specifically grant any such privilege on an exclusive basis to any other state or an airline of any other state, and not to obtain any such exclusive privilege from any other state. So that is what basically it means, not to fly domestically by international carriers. Pilot aircrafts. No aircraft capable of being flown without a pilot shall be flown without a pilot over territory of a contracting state without special authorization by the state and in accordance with the terms of such authorization. Each contracting state undertakes to ensure the flight of such aircraft without a pilot in regions open to civil aircraft shall be controlled so as to obviate danger to civil aircraft. So you have to take permission if you're flying pilotless aircraft. Prohibited areas. So there's three kinds of areas that are marked on your maps and stuff. First is prohibited. That is, we will understand later, that is denoted by P. So these are areas under which you cannot fly. They will shoot you down. For example, military. There are 6 or 7, I guess, places that we cannot fly over. There, for example, Kalpakkam and Rashtrapati Bhavan, and there's some Gujarat refinery, refinery, and Bombay, Baroda, and Bhubaneswar Tower. So you cannot fly under any circumstances, even if you're in an emergency. You cannot fly over these aircraft or air places. Cannot be in their radius. So that is it. And second one is restricted. You have to take permission to fly over that area. And then there's danger. So danger is sort of an area where you can fly, but you have to be extra cautious. Or if some places are of that sort that you cannot fly over them during some time and there's something happening, so that restricts your ability to fly over there. So then NOTAM, there is an organization, NOTAM. No, we will look at the full form of it. So they will issue in no time. So they will let you know when you can fly over them and when you cannot. So basically these are areas of extra caution. There is no permission you need when you're flying over dangerous. You need over restricted, and you cannot under any circumstance over prohibited. Landing in customs airport. The state can require that landing to be made at a designated customs airport, and similarly departure from the territory can be required to be from the designated customs airport. Customs are in place for your international travel so that nothing illegal comes into India, nothing illegal goes from India. Applicability of air regulations, or so basically there's this rule that international flights can only land over airspaces which has custom in place. Applicability of air regulations, all aircrafts are to be treated that is so basically if you try flying over any other contracting states, they will give you equal importance in ATC and stuff. So rules of the air. So basically this tells you if you're flying over waters which is not in any of the country's territory, so you will follow the rules given by this convention. And when you're on the land, you will follow the rules given by the country of your registration. So, just a second, I will. Right. Each contracting state undertakes to adopt measure to ensure that every aircraft flying over maneuvering within its territory and that every aircraft carrying its nationality wherever such aircraft may be shall comply with the rules and regulations relating to the flight and maneuver of the aircraft therein force. Each contracting state undertakes to keep its own regulation in these respects uniform to the greatest possible extent with those established from time to time under this convention. Over high seas, the rules in force shall be those established under this convention. Each contracting state undertakes to ensure the prosecution of all persons violating the regulations applicable. So, entry and clearance regulations. The laws and regulations of a contracting state as to admission or departure from its territory or passengers or passport, customs, and quarantine shall be complied with by or on behalf of such passengers, crew, or cargo upon entrance and departure from or within the territory of that state. So, this is basically you have to comply with the territory in which you're flying. That's it. So, that is it for today. We will understand the rest of the articles in our next class. We have almost 14 to 30, 14 to 42. So basically 28 more. So we will go through them in the next class. Thank you so much. And please subscribe and like the channel if you liked how I taught you. Thank you so much.